Welcome to PACKOLUTION. In this podcast series, you'll hear the experts of the packaging industry talking about sustainability and the future of packaging. It is brought to you by Watron and hosted by one of its founders, Michaela Wachtel, and Sales Director Ton Kniepscher.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of PACKOLUTION, the disruptive podcast brought to you by Watron. Today we have Frank Plechschmidt, founder, and Nicolai Ehrhart, managing director at the Labelisten, as our guests, with whom we'll be talking about efficiency and environmental protection through small-scale production. Welcome, Frank and Nico.
Thanks for having us. Good morning.
Nice to meet you again.
The first questions we always have is, could you please briefly tell us something about yourselves and your career path? Who wants to start off first?
Frank, you go first.
Okay, so I'm Frank. We're based in Bavaria, in Germany, and I started, my career path is that I was first a graphic guy and did some hobby programming, and I got self-employed in 2003 and had many different orders from dietary supplement companies. It specialized more and more orders for this branch came in, and they all wanted me to print their labels. And the problem in this business was that the label amounts were between 50 and 50,000 pieces or 50,000 units. And so I didn't find any printing company which printed those amounts of labels. And they always needed to be fast and cheap. And that was a big problem. And so I decided in 2013 to print them by myself. And I bought a small printing unit and a die cutting unit which fitted on a table, and so the business grew. In 2018 I invested in the first Indigo, HP Indigo. In 2019 I decided to go to Barcelona because the problem with this HP Indigo was that it finished it orders or it shops at 9 a.m. in the morning because it was so fast in comparison to my other machines. So in 2019, I started to go to flexible packaging workshop and learned about this business. I had no idea before. So they showed us what's all the possible with this kind of machine and print flexible packaging, try it. And so I decided, because I heard all the benefits, what flexible packaging benefits are, but the biggest problem with flexible packaging was that you need big amounts or big volumes. So I thought, okay, I know how to handle small customers, and I have an idea how to get small customers into flexible packaging and invest in the business. And the story started and grew. And in 2021, we installed the machines, and now we are in the flexible packaging business. And in 2019, I also met Nico. And it's up to you, Nico, now. Tell your story.
Okay, good morning. My name is Nico. I'm in the flexible packaging industry since 13 years now, I think. Yeah, I started with a big manufacturer of flexible packaging company in southern Germany, and I worked there for 11 years. And yeah, I learned a lot about flexible packaging, extrusion, printing, laminating, slitting, and so on and so forth. And in 2019, I met Frank, and he showed me his system, like his ERP system, which he programmed by himself. And I was really impressed because he really, invented a system how you can order hundreds of different orders and hundreds of different designs each day. I think that's key for digital printing. So 2 years later, he said, Nico, I really want to do the flexible packaging business, but I don't know a lot about flexible packaging. Do you want to join the company? And I joined the company. And since that, we're on this journey and building this flexible packaging company. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And I think we are very successful in what we're doing flexible packaging for small and medium runs.
It's a good symbiosis because Nico knows the business and I know how to handle the orders and the machines. I'm talking to the machines, Nico talks to the customers. And okay, I also talk to customers, but if it gets technical, then I need Nico.
So now you have already said a little bit about your business, but in a nutshell, can you tell our listeners what you guys do at the Labelisten especially?
So in a nutshell, we do digital printed labels and flexible packaging, like standard pouches, flat pouches, roll stock, all for small and medium runs. Yeah, so we are very good in doing a lot of small jobs We're not so good in doing huge jobs. Like you can't get 1 million pouches from us, but you can get within 1 week, you can get 500 pouches or 5,000 pouches or labels.
Or one pouch or one label.
Or one pouch, yeah.
I think that's the main thing is that we don't have a minimum order quantity. So minimum order quantity starts at 1 piece.
Okay, so that basically answers the question which I wanted to ask you. What makes your products different from others in the market? What is your unique selling point? But you've already answered that. Basically, you can do runs as small as one.
So
Exactly.
you get 5 pieces, but you can order 1.
Okay. You get four for free. Okay, fair enough. What do you see as other differentiating points compared to different suppliers in this field in flexible packaging?
So like Frank said, the no minimum order quantity is really like a huge USP from us, because a lot of our customers, they have the same pain. They want to have individual printed packaging, and if they go out to all the other flexible packaging suppliers, they have minimum order quantities of, let's say, 20,000, 30,000 pieces per design, and that's way more than they would ever need. So I think this USP from us, that we don't have an MOQ, solves a lot of pain from a lot of customers out there. Also, we come up with very short delivery times. So I think standard, if you go flexo and you want to get a flexo printed standard pouch, it will take 3 months to get the pouch. Our standard delivery time is 20 working days, and you have also an express option where you can get your pouches within 10 days. Also, this solves a lot of issues for our customers, because a lot of brands, they want to be fast in the market. They want to come up with new designs. They want to be, very, very fast in the stores or on Instagram with their new products, and the long delivery time kills their business model. And I think this also solves issues for our customers. And I think those two are the biggest USPs from us. Probably one more, the online shop we have. So our customers can just upload their printing files in our online shop, and then we take care of the rest. And this makes it very easy for them, because everyone who ordered flexible packaging once in their life know that it's a pain, because it's very complicated and a lot of email going back and forth until everything is clear. And we try to reduce the complexity for our customers, that it's very easy for them. So placing an order in our online shop takes you maybe 5 minutes compared to...
And the second one, 10 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah, the repeat orders are even faster. So this is always our goal, to reduce the work for our customers, that it's very easy for them.
So I remember from some years ago that the small runs were done by stickering or putting a self-adhesive label on a neutral pouch. And what you are doing is actually printing the whole pouch, but doing this digitally, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And that's a good advantage.
Yeah, that's why I started, because I saw a lot of customers doing this, and I printed the labels and thought, hey, why don't you buy the pouch?
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense.
And you've already mentioned your customers. Now, I'm really curious, as you're doing small to mid-sized production, what is your market? Who are your customers in general? I'm sure you cannot tell me any names, but like just to give us an idea of who your customers are, maybe. It's probably not the global brands, or I don't know.
No, it's more online businesses and teleshopping business. So different branches. Dietary supplement is main branch.
Okay,
Food,
so it's customers
tobacco.
who are actually producing something, but just in those quantities of 50 to 5,000 or something in the smaller amounts.
Exactly.
And is
There's
it worldwide, or is it a certain area, or where are your customers coming from?
We didn't speak English 3 years ago until we started with flexible packaging, and now it's getting more and more international. Yeah. More and more countries come in. Yeah, it's interesting.
What is the general state of the market in terms of printing? You mentioned digital printing, but what conventional printing methods still exist for flexible packaging, for label printing? And why is digital printing increasingly gaining ground?
I think both printing techniques have their values and pros and cons, of course, but we see a huge trend in the market. So a lot of brands, they come up with a lot of, with more SKUs. So back in the days, you had 3 different SKUs for the brand, and now you have so much more. It's getting so much more individual. Also, the product life cycle of the packaging or the product is way shorter than it was years before, and this means the brand has to come up with more design changes. And I think those are huge drivers for digital printing. Flexo and roto printing will be there forever, I think, because there's a need for it. But the market trends we are seeing are huge drivers for digital printing.
And could you also imagine the combination of these two? Let's say you have a generic design which is printed in rotogravure or in Flexo, and then you do certain tweakers digitally. Is that something you can imagine as well?
Yeah, I think a couple of print machine manufacturers are working on hybrid machines, but to be honest, I don't see it. I don't see it at the moment, at least. I think digital printing will improve, will get faster, it will get cheaper, and so I think that there's no need for hybrid machines. That's my personal opinion, because I think digital printing will be so good and so fast in the future that it will eat up a lot of the market shares from Flexo.
Okay.
Yeah, you can compare it with the label business. The label industry, digital grew and grew like, I don't know how much the market share is already, but nowadays the machines are running with 120 meters. For example, the new HP press, the V12, is running for 24 hours a day. The service is made in line. You don't need to stop the machine. The material comes in automated, gets out automated, and the machine doesn't stop. So you print 120 meters always. And if you look a bit into the future and the flexible packaging market, it develops like the label market. So we are 10 years behind now with the flexible packaging market, if you compare it. And if the machines are running with 120 meters and nonstop, there's no way back for Flexo at least. Also, you don't find any more Flexo printers for servicing the machines or for managing the machines.
Maybe my next question connects really well to what you just said. Actually, I wanted to ask about advantages and disadvantages of digital printing, but you've already mentioned a lot of advantages. Maybe you can say something more about it, also about the disadvantages maybe of the digital printing.
Well, the biggest disadvantage of digital printing at the moment is clearly the speed of the machine. So, for example, our printing machine runs with 20 meters per minute compared to Flexo, where 200 meters plus are possible. That's really, really like slow motion printing. Yeah, the speed is the biggest disadvantage, but the technology will evolve, and I think in the future we will see printing machines which are able to run 100 meters per minute and more.
And then the other disadvantage at the moment is that it's more expensive, so the color is more expensive.
That might improve in the future.
Yeah, that's a clear path.
You mentioned something about materials and making it easier for the customer, but what sort of trends do you see in the choice of materials for pouches and labels? Do you see this request for monomaterials or more sustainable materials coming up for flexible packaging?
Yeah, it was our main target to produce some recyclable, the pouches we do. And it was really, really hard to do, but we did it now, and we produce monomaterials, and at least 90% of our pouches are monomaterial. There are 10% left which need to be transferred to it. Doesn't work with the Velcro zippers, are not possible in PP at the moment. So that's the thing. The whole business is based on the sustainability point. I could have produced labels my whole life long, but I saw that there's one step more to go, and labels are not as sustainable as they should be. And then I started with the flexible packaging because of the benefits that you don't have so much stock, so much material. You save 80% of the plastic. And if we produce it, we want to do it the right way. And therefore, we decided to go monomaterial and recyclable materials. And so 90% of all the pouches we produce are mono.
What's very interesting is that 2 years ago, a lot of our customers asked for paper materials. They asked for biodegradable material. And now 2 years later, I think the customers and the final customers, they are more educated, and they know that biodegradable is maybe not a good idea. And they know that paper pouches are probably also not a good idea because they have plastic inside and you can't recycle them. So we found way more educated customers, and the requests for monomaterials are increasing. But almost nobody asks for biodegradable material anymore. So that's a huge shift in our customer segment. We see, at least.
That's good to see that the market gets educated. That's very good. As you rightly say, a paper pouch or paper packaging needs a lamination to give some barrier and actually to be able to laminate it together.
Exactly.
So you told us that you work with small-scale productions. Minimum order doesn't exist for more sustainability in the packaging world. How does small-scale production offer higher sustainability? Can you explain this to our listeners?
One thing that I learned in this 2019 workshop was that 25% of all packaging is thrown away because the designs change or regulatories change.
Okay.
And that's a point where we attach to where we are working, that we try to solve this 25% issue with production at the moment you need it. And you don't need to fill up your stock and throw your stock away because 10,000 pieces are cheaper than 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, I remember that from my own experience in my own career before that we sometimes had to throw lots and lots and lots of printed packaging away because something changed in the legislation or marketing decided to put something else on. Yeah, I do remember that. That's a good point.
That's one of our claims on our website. Only order what you really need. Because other packaging suppliers, they have minimum order quantities of 50,000 pieces or so. And then you have to order those 50,000 even if you just need 20,000, for example, and the rest gets thrown away or stays in stock forever. And this is what we want to avoid. And I think digital printing helps a lot because you can print from one piece.
And if you turn around the calculation and you save the 25% or you don't throw the 25% away, you can buy for 33% more. And this upcharge is always worth it.
That makes sense.
So what other possibilities are there in printing and labeling to innovate packaging? You've already said something about sustainability. Maybe there's more to that.
Yeah, brand protection is one thing. For example, we produce pouches with a QR code on it, individual QR codes. Every pouch has a QR code you scan with a camera. And beneath the QR code, there is a letter combination. And if you scan it with your mobile phone and you get to the website, you see the letter combination. And if it matches, you're trusted that you have the right pouch or you have an original product. Also, the producer sees where the product is opened.
Yeah, I could imagine that you can use it for marketing purposes really well if every packaging has an own QR code.
Also,
there are endless possibilities with digital printing. So what we see is also a big trend that the brands want to engage with their customer more. So they make individual packaging with names on the packaging or with little quiz or games on the packaging, just that there's an interaction between the brand and the final customer. And that's very easy to do with digital printing. And I think this will be also a very, very big thing in the next coming years.
And I think maybe the e-commerce market may have an influence on this as well, because with e-commerce, the pack doesn't need to look as good anymore as it used to do on shelf, as it needed to do on shelf, because you've already bought it online.
That's why we don't worry about spot colors or color accuracy. So it doesn't matter for our customers because they are not in the shelf and they don't stand close to each other.
I can imagine. Well, when it comes to printed packaging, we are increasingly hearing about de-inking processes. What exactly is this about and why is this important?
De-inking means that you wash off the ink from the packaging before it gets recycled. And this leads to a higher quality of the recycled material. Yeah, when the ink is gone, it's not contaminated with the
mineral oils or inks, which could have an effect on marshmallow and mineral contamination.
Exactly. So the recycled material is pure without the inks on it. The issue is that for decades, the ink suppliers worked on inks who are able to stay on the packaging. And now it's completely the other way around. You need to have an ink which stays on a packaging for a certain time, and then it needs to be able to get washed off from the packaging. And this leads to a lot of challenges in the process. But we see there's a lot of movement and developments in the market, and maybe this will be the standard in the future.
Must be a very delicate line to walk, because during transportation or at the customers, the ink should stay on. It should not be rubbing and seeing damaging effect in text. But of course, as you said, when you put it in the de-inking process, it needs to come off easily. That's a very delicate line.
It is.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
And is this easier with digital printed inks, or is this just as complicated as with flexo or gravure printed inks?
I think there's no difference. You have to break it down and you have to find the right primer. The primer is a thing which is between the ink and the packaging itself. Mm-hmm. And I think that's key, that companies are developing good primers with the ability to stay, and that the ink stays on a packaging but can get washed away in the de-inking process. But I personally think there's no difference between conventional printing techniques and digital printing.
The biggest thing is that the packaging gets back to the process that the de-inking process even make sense. We have to work to educate the customers to get the packaging in the right bin, the right trash can.
Correct.
We have reached the end of the episode once more. Is there anything you would like to add? Some last words that you would like to tell our listeners?
Well, if you need digital printed labels or flexible packaging in small runs with a lot of different SKUs, check out our website and give us a call. We can help you there.
And order just what you really need.
Exactly. But other than that, thank you very much for having us. It was a lot of fun. Very nice experience to be in a podcast. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So this concludes another episode of our podcast PACKOLUTION. Thank you, Frank and Nico, for sharing your experiences and vision with us. Very interesting for us and hopefully for our listeners. Please stay tuned in this channel for more inspiring episodes of PACKOLUTIONs with experts and visionaries from the packaging industry.